love story.
How everything began, who took the first step, took the initiative, how everything began, your love story.
Right. I will start on this. So, when I first came to church, Anna was already an assistant.
Okay.
So, you know, and I was 21 years old, and I had a lot of experience with the world. I was too much engaged in the world. So, you know, I just came with full of problems, you know, as everybody else that comes to UCKG. And my focus was not love life. Actually, that was a very disastrous area in my life. So I didn't want anything. I wasn't focused. And that was correct because I had other priorities, which was my spiritual life. But as time progressed, you know, I started to notice Anna. She was a bit different from everybody else. Of course, when you come to a place where we were, in the headquarters of Portugal, in Cinema Império, 200 assistants plus. And of course, you know, as a young male, you start looking around. Funny enough, she wasn't that person who was kind of drawing attention. Quite opposite. She was very quiet. And as I grew in my spiritual life, went through the process of deliverance and so on, then, you know, I had a group of friends there in the church already. And, you know, my name started to be kind of, you know, voiced out. Oh, Nuno, this and that. By the way, my name is Nuno. Okay. Many people don't know me by
your real name.
by my real name. That's another story. I can speak to you about my real, why my real name changed.
Okay.
But then Anna, she was the one who came and introduced herself.
Oh, really?
She can speak about that.
Wow, so quiet.
The quiet assistant did it.
So, although I was quiet, but I was an assistant already for 2 years when he came to the church. And on a very good Sunday morning, he was there near me in the church. And I thought, okay, let me go there and introduce myself, as I already knew his brother because he's a twin. So I said,
he was already an assistant.
And he was already an assistant. So I thought,
your brother.
And yes, my brother was an assistant there in the church, and her friends, they already knew me, you know, which were also assistants.
Okay.
So they made it easy, kind of.
But by this time, you were already in the faith.
I was starting.
Okay.
Oh, really, in the beginning.
I was really in the beginning of my faith. Like the first month.
Wow.
First 1 month, 2 months in the church. So, but because I was very lively and outspoken, so I really made friends easily. You know, the church became my house. So I love the church. I love the environment. I love the people. So I'm very easy to make friendship. So it was very easy to me.
In a different kind of friends as well.
Yeah.
So, Miss Anna.
So I went there and I introduced myself to him. And then, okay, it was a Sunday morning.
It was like this. Oh, is it you who are Nuno?
Oh, really?
So you remember that?
I remember. Oh, is it you who are Nuno? Because she heard about, you know, someone, her friends spoke to me about it and so on.
So it was a briefly introduction.
Yeah.
Just that.
Just that. Oh,
sorry, Pastor, the thing is, I'm going to be, I'm going to put modesty a bit aside. But, you know, the girls there were kind of, you know, on me. You know what I mean? They were like chasing me up. But those who were more like, you know, how can I say? What's the word?
I don't know.
They were like more audacious, if I can say. They were like more, you know, oh, now let me know the guy, I want to know the guy, and so on, blah, blah. Who is this new guy in the church? You know, all of a sudden, you know, I start to get a lot of the opposite sex attention. Not in a bad way, but they wanted to know who this guy Nuno was all about, you know. And that's how, you know, people, they started to, you know,
to get close.
Get close.
So yeah, when I went there, in my mind, okay, it's so nice to see a young boy from the world coming to the church, and it was my thought. But from there, every time you would see me,
So by this time that you introduced yourself, you had no intentions.
no, I just saw him as a soul.
Okay.
But from there, every time you would see me, hi Anna, how are you? And then we started to speak every Wednesday, Friday, Sunday.
But not because you want to have something with them.
No.
Just because
it was
you were
one
trying
more
to be
friends
polite
that became part of the group
Okay.
of
okay.
those people, young people that were in the church.
Yeah.
And for you, it's more one soul.
Yeah, but between so many highs and hellos, how are you? We started to develop feelings from one another. However, I had that fear inside of me. Well, I'm an assistant for 2 years already. And yes, I like him. In my mind, I would think like that. I like him, but above him, above my feelings, is my calling. Is my fear to God, and I cannot leave all that just because of someone that I even don't know that is recently in the church, and I cannot throw everything away without knowing what can I expect from him. And it took time.
Well, not long, because the period of my conversion, deliverance, have an encounter with God in the baptism of the Holy Spirit was very quick. 4 months.
Wow.
It was very, very quick because, as I said, I came from the world. I knew how it was back there. I had a lot of bad experiences, came from a broken household. I came shattered to the church. So quickly, I surrendered my all to God. As we know, you give your all, God returns His all to us. So
it took 9 months for you to be raised an assistant.
The process of conversion and deliverance took me in having
receiving the Holy Spirit
4 months. But of course, then you are still very mature in your faith.
Yes.
So from then, up until I become an assistant was 9 months.
Okay.
So she waited all this period. She saw. Actually, she prayed for me. She prayed strong for me on Fridays. She saw me, going through all this process of deliverance, getting baptized, waiting to see the fruits
of
God.
Everything. You saw everything.
It is interesting to see, Ms. Anna, that though you had already developed feelings towards him, you didn't allow these feelings to take over, because you knew how to wait, because I believe you understood that, okay, if I say something now, these feelings can interfere in his process, in his spiritual development.
And it was so hard. It was very hard for me to be there where I was at that moment. So many fights, so many struggles that I had to overcome with my family. So I could not throw everything away without being absolutely sure that he was already at least in the same level that I was.
We have been speaking about the vow. And I believe that, if you can agree with me, her vow with God was above any relationship.
Yeah.
So she had to safeguard and protect that vow with God, because actually many people, they compromise their spiritual life because of relationship, and that is wrong.
It's true. It's true.
It's true.
So thank God you had this spiritual understanding to not allow your feelings to take over and even affect your spiritual growing. So when finally you were an assistant, so you saw, okay, so now we're ready
Let's think about it.
Let us think about it. And who to, because by this time I believe you're already having something towards her.
We actually started, were having things in common. We started evangelizing together. And I remember she would belong to the group that used to visit elderly people. So I came to my pastor and said, Pastor, can I join the Caleb group?
Okay.
Can I join the group that visits the elderly? Because I knew I want to do the work of God, but at the same time, I want to stay together with her. Okay. So then we started to going together to evangelize,
To know each other.
Exactly. In these betweens, we used to speak, and that's how everything started. The same common grounds and the same faith. And, I saw that Anna was really, really different from all the relationships
You had before.
in the world that I had before. And actually from some people in the church, And that's what caught my attention, really.
And who took the initiative to declare the feelings, or you already knew that?
People sometimes they ask me, when did you propose Anna? I've never proposed her because it was ever since we started dating, actually dating, we knew where this would go. We knew that it was not just, to try. We had genuine feelings. Of course, we were getting to know each other, and we did that for actually, between the date we started to get to know each other and the day we married, it was 4 years.
Wow.
So we really knew each other very well. So we never spoke about, do you think we can get married? No, we knew what we wanted.
Okay, but before you get married, let's go before dating. So, because I believe some of you had to say, okay, let us start dating or something,
Yeah.
How was that?
I remember going a bit back. He was raised an assistant, and a few weeks after said, okay, so I'm going to speak with your mom and just for everything to be clear. And it was how everything officially started.
And we spoke to the pastor and the bishop in charge.
Okay.
I think that is important, Pastor James and Mrs. Karina, because, to let your pastor know and the authority know that, you want to assume a serious relationship, even to get the blessing. I remember I took some rings and I went to the bishop. So, look, Bishop, this is, Anna. They knew already because we were assistants, right? So, and they blessed the rings and they said a prayer for us, and that's how everything started. Right, we started
It's
right.
very organic. If things started, happening naturally between you. Because
exactly.
I believe,
anxiety.
yes, a successful relationship begins with a good friendship. If you are friends,
That's very important.
that friendship is something that is crucial in a relationship.
Yeah.
Right. So, as you said, everything started to happen very naturally.
Very natural. Yeah, it was very natural, and then we knew where we wanted to go, and obviously marriage was indeed in our plans.
And when you were sure, Pastor Elijah and Ms. Anna, because this is a question for both of you, that she was the right one, when you had, okay, I have no more doubts, I'm sure, and I'm going to marry her.
First of all, the first thing needs to be compatibility in terms of your goals. If I would have developed feelings for her, but she didn't want to do what I wanted, she didn't share the same vision, that relationship would surely not be successful. So I think that I saw that in Anna. She wanted the same that I wanted, to walk on the same path that I wanted to walk. And that reassured me, indeed. Of course, those years we were, just dating served to me and for her as well to see our characters, and we went through, certain things before the relationship, family-wise, how it is. And I knew it was her because, that assurance was inside of me, not only because of her character, but because as well, we had the same goal, the same vision, and that is very important in a relationship.
Yeah.
And what about you, Miss Anna? How was for you this assurance, the certainty that he was the one?
Okay, so for me, it was when I really saw that he born of God. He had a new birth. He changed from water to wine. So I said, okay, although we were very different until today, we have very many differences.
And we saw here in the flash questions how different you are. Yeah?
We were very different, but the differences, they didn't put us apart. By the opposite. Because we had, as he said, the same goals, the same plans for the future. So we had no doubts that things could go wrong. We knew struggles would come, problems could come, but together we could overcome everything.
So when you realized that everything was in common, so you had this assurance.
Surely.
Yeah.
Great. So I believe we can go now to the next part, marriage.
Yeah.
How long have you been married for, Pastor Elijah?
Anna?
We're going to complete 22 years this
Oh, wow, 22
October.
years.
Yeah.
Wow, a life.
Wow.
Yeah, 22 years.
A life
Really?
together.
Amazing.
Amazing, yes. So, and I believe as most of us in the beginning, we had the big problems, not big problems, but some
challenge,
issues,
yeah,
the little
some
challenges.
challenge.
This is something that most of people have asked us in our relationship. It tends to differ a bit of the majority of the cases because, honestly speaking, we didn't have problems at the beginning. Because we had 4 years.
Yeah.
Because some people, they get to know each other for 6 years, 6 months,
Yeah.
1 year, and then,
They discover another
getting
reality.
together as a couple. Of course, there are always certain things which are new, certainly. But in our case, it wasn't that. We hadn't any surprise whatsoever when we got married, because we knew what we could expect from each other. So we were very well much, how can I say, fit and together. We knew. I knew Anna very well. She knew me very well, and we've never had issues, problems.
So this 4 years for you was not a burden that you were carrying. Oh, we are here waiting for 4 years, but it was as an investment.
You
Exactly.
took advantage to talk, to eat,
To know each
other.
Exactly, and these 4 years gave us that background, and
preparation.
in preparation exactly for
The future.
the beginning of our marriage. We had already like a foundation, strong foundation. I think it's important for people to indeed get to know each other. Some people, they rush.
Yeah.
They want to jump in relationships. Oh, okay, let's get married. And then they know, they have the surprises. They don't know what the true other person is.
Yeah.
So in these 4 years, we had issues, but we dealt with them there and then. And again, there was no surprises.
We sort out ourselves before getting married.
But of course, we're not saying we didn't have challenges. There was challenges, and one of the main ones was how to deal with family.
Okay.
We had the main issues we had. Actually, the first serious argument we had was because there was interference of family members. And at the time, we were inexperienced and a bit immature regarding, what a relationship was. So we started to have problems.
Wow.
Because of, family member interference.
And how did you resolve that, Pastor?
How did we resolve?
Because the solution is a very important part.
It came with maturity. It came, realizing what was important. I'm not gonna create an argument. I'm not gonna side with, because the most important person in the relationship, it's my wife. It's not my family members. But also, she understood, for instance, that if she would go against my family in a certain way, or badmouth my family in a certain way, not that she was badmouthing, but she need to be careful.
Yeah.
The way she was speaking about my family.
Should not be against them.
Exactly, because then she realized that she was hurting me. And I also realized that by parting their side, I was also harming her, right?
Yeah.
This, took time for us to work out, but eventually, she realized, okay, you know what? There are people are the way they are. Actually, this is a very good hint for a relationship. We want people to be the way we want them to be.
Yeah.
And that's not paramount, because people are the way they are, and we have to put up with their flaws, their mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes, just for her to make me happy, she has to put up with certain things regarding third party, because family is family. You can't throw family away.
Yes.
You can't throw your parents away, your siblings away. You don't know, they are family.
Yeah.
So
Forever.
she realized, and you know what? Sometimes it's just, I used to say, Anna, you know what? Just, you need to relevate certain things, because you know what? It's just a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a couple of hours. You know,
Sacrifice.
if we have a visit of a family member, you know, it's going to be a couple of hours.
It's true.
Don't make an you know,
A
A big deal.
a big deal
of
just
just
because of
things,
these things. You know, just put up with it, and then they'll go to their lives, and we carry on,
Yeah,
right?
it's true.
Is that tip of the glass of water? Do you
Exactly.
remember? Just, you know, fill your mouth and just wait.
No, some
Yeah, be patient.
yeah, you know, she had some issues with my mother. You know, mother-in-laws again. My mother isn't a easy person to deal with, but anyway.
But I was very immature. in
Yeah,
the
she was a bit
beginning. I
immature,
recognized.
and of course, but then you know she said, okay, I'm gonna, you know, think how I'm gonna deal with all these in order not to create
More
the problems.
problems,
yeah.
Of course.
So, Pastor Elijah, we already talked about, you know, dating, single life as you start in the church and the challenge you have in your marriage. But there's something that I wanted to explore, as you mentioned, the certain issues you had with the family.
Yeah.
As a pastor, I know that you have already traveled to many different countries. And do you remember how was that the first experience that you had to travel abroad? Because you were from Portugal, right?
Yeah.
And you have to go out from Portugal. Because these issues you had with your family, I assume that was there when you were there.
Back on those days, yeah.
And how was that for you to be far away from, you know, to another country, another language, far from your family? How was that for you?
Look, we have both different experience in this matter because I come from a broken family. My parents were divorced when I was 6 years old. And my father was a banker, my mother a teacher. And then my father was really absent because of his work reasons. So, you know, as my parents divorced, I went to live with my father. And after he got married again, so I grew up kind of without a father figure being there for me all the time. So me and my brother, as twin brothers, we tend to, you know, have this kind of wild life, you know what I mean? So for me, living without my father present or absent, it was okay. I mean, not okay, but you know, I got
Used.
used to it.
Yeah.
It became like a defense for me. So when my teenage years came, you know, I just went wild and experienced the world. So for me, you know, coming out from that environment of family didn't mean much to me, you know. To her, it was different, very different, and much, much harder because she's a single daughter.
Yeah.
And
can
meaning and her mother was already divorced, right, Anna? So I even remember that when we left the United States,
We traveled from Portugal to United States.
we traveled. Our first mission outside as a pastor outside of Portugal was in the U.S. And I remember as she had to say the goodbyes to her mom, she just broke down
Wow.
in tears, and she became very emotional. The next days and weeks were very, very difficult for her,
And
right?
months.
And months.
Wow.
So
Because as we were there, I was very happy because God was counting with us in another country, in a place that there was no pastors there. So I was very happy doing the work of God. But in another hand, I had my mom
Close.
alone.
calling her all the
Crying.
time, call you left me
Call me.
alone, this and that.
Oh.
It was very, very hard. You know, it came a time that, you know, I was even telling her, you know, don't accept calls from your mother anymore because, you know, she was being very emotional. I mean,
Yeah.
knowing that your mother was alone and you could not take care of her and you know, it was very hard for us. For me as well, because I had to, you know,
Cope with
to
that.
cope with that, you know, and I have to say it wasn't easy.
I
at all.
can't
Even
imagine.
for your mother as well, alone. Can you imagine?
Yes.
It was very
But
difficult.
guess what? This is just a briefly story about my mom. Because that time that we were there, it was painful for me, for her. But it was the time that God also worked in her. She needed that time to work in her spiritual life. And after that,
Yeah,
she could also build a relationship with someone.
Because Anna was her support. You know?
Yes, I know.
So when she left, and now
world
there was nobody
collapsed.
else to call upon, to cling on.
Only God now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So God even allowed that to happen so that
yeah,
she
sure.
could build up relationship with
She
God.
depend on God.
Yeah, and later on when we came back to Portugal, but not for long because then we were called to come to United Kingdom. and again, that was very good because it was when that time that she started to make the love therapy
Okay.
in Portugal.
Your mother-in-law.
Yeah, she was divorced when she was 21 years old, Pastor.
Wow.
And for all those years,
She was alone.
She was
Alone.
No, she was alone, but she had Anna. Oh, she's my daughter.
Okay.
She's with me. So you know what? I don't need any man. I don't need any relationship. When she left, that's when the penny dropped, and that's when she realized, hang on a second, I'm alone, and I need someone to be on my side. So here in the United Kingdom, when we came here, again, she started to think about, started to attend love therapy in Portugal.
Whoa.
And that's when, she got to know someone.
And do
today.
you know, I had a different attitude because there in United States, I used to cry and feel the pain. Oh my God, I left my mom alone. And it was very hard for me to overcome all those feelings. But when we came here, I remember so well the place that I was. And I told God, my God, I didn't say no to you. You called me to come here. I didn't say no. I didn't make a scene. Oh. But now you need to take care of my mom.
Yeah.
I don't accept to go through everything that I went through in the past. And it was
And also
so
we
beautiful.
wanted peace, right?
We wanted peace.
To work
Yeah.
here.
To do
Yeah,
the work
sure.
of God.
Peace.
And it was beautiful, beautiful, because in less than 6 months, my mom that was doing the love therapy, she met someone and she
Wow.
got married.
Look at that.
It was
Amazing.
amazing,
Love therapy
amazing.
works.
She was already on her 50s, right?
She was
When-
54.
54.
54.
Look at it.
Amazing.
You have to bring her here to give her testimony.
Wow.
Pastor Elijah, now we have some funny questions. Does Pastor have a Greek background? I'm not
A what?
understanding this
Greek.
question. Greek
The
background.
only thing about Greek I know
Greek.
is one word, Afkaristo. Actually, in Barakaloa, we've done a couple of meetings in Cyprus.
Oh, really?
Actually, we started kind of the work of God there in Cyprus. We held many meetings there, and now we have a church there in Cyprus. So no Greek background.
No Greek background.
Have another one for Anna. Miss Anna, how did you find being a mother and pastor's wife?
Well, do you know, it's a challenge. And I was even speaking with someone these days because I believe every woman, when she decides to have a baby, a child, she just thinks in that little small
Baby.
creature and how to dress up and all those funny things and beautiful things. But with time, I started to realize that, well, my baby is not a baby anymore. It's a soul that I need to look after.
It's true.
So when I stopped seeing my son as a baby and I start looking at him as a soul, I understood better my role as a mother. And this is what helps me
bigger mission.
and gives me the guidance that I need. That is not my son, is a soul, is actually my first soul that I need to look after.
Yeah,
For
it's
sure.
true.
For sure. And parents, especially Christian parents, they have to keep this spiritual vision
Yeah, this
about their
vision.
children.
It's
They're
not
not
about
just,
baby,
yes.
son.
It's not just about, your son, but it's about a soul that is your responsibility.
And I think that
And by the way, I'm sorry, but I can see and I can witness, the way that you have, this spiritual responsibility. When I see you there, making sure that Tiago's in the service with the Bible.
closing the eyes.
Yes, how
Close
many
the
times I can
eyes.
see Pastor Elijah there? Where's Tiago? Oh, he's there. These spiritual responsibilities is very important.
Yeah. The first thing that we parents, Christian parents, have to do, even before mentoring our child, because it's our responsibility of mentoring him and teaching him the Christian values, is to give example.
Yeah.
Because what's the point for us to teach about Jesus and try to instill in him certain,
Values.
the Christian values, if we do not live that. So Tiago doesn't witness fights, arguments at home. Quite contrary, in our house there is peace, there is understanding. Of course, he's a child, and we have
of course.
to teach him and rebuke him, but all with respect and making sure that we don't bypass the limits of what teaching and mentoring is all about.
Yeah.
It's very important that we give an example of what being of God is. That's paramount.
Pastor Elijah, Mrs. Anna, thank you very much. You have no idea how you blessed, people here in the comments. They are commenting lots of things.
Wow, it's 1 hour already.
Look at that.
1 hour.
Look at the problem we have when, because the thing simply flows here. What can we do?
Yeah.
That's amazing. So may God bless you all. See you tomorrow. Have a wonderful
See you
night.
tomorrow. Bye-bye.
The Love Talk Show on Liberty Radio.